Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. It is Wednesday, so you already know my buddy JC is back, and let me make sure I get his up next card right because I finally got a little organization going on with these videos. With that being said, let me bring JC in. How you doing? Are you frozen?
I'm not frozen. I just felt like
I'm like, goddamn retrograde.
Retrograde, man. What you said, Shadow Week? It's not even the full retro. The real retrograde ain't even here, and it took us 30 minutes in between the two of us to set up our equipment, like respective equipments. Like, this is. And I like retrograde. I am a fan and proponent of retro. I always like retrogrades. I learned so much. I have a Capricorn and Sun and a Mercury and Aquarius. So those things lend to positive feedbacks with the retrograde. But this right here, I don't like this.
This ain't it.
This ain't it.
We are talking about Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears today. And then we're also going to talk about Black leaders versus elected Black leaders and how we actually don't need people leading the Black. We actually need actual Black leaders like we used to have, which let's just say you cannot appoint those, if you will. Like they kind of just are. All right.
They kind of just are. They be there.
And they're needed and they're called to action. It's not just like, okay, I just hired you to be the lead the Blacks. Like, no, it's kind of like a rally around kind of thing, you know? So of course we're going to talk about that and way more because you know how JC and I do. We'll be like, we're talking about 2 things and it ends up being 12. So of course we're going to talk about all that as soon as we come right back to Rewind with Besa. So like I said, we're talking about Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish. They are being sued over alleged sexual child abuse. Okay. I am going to play a quick little video for you guys that don't necessarily know what's going on. And then when we get back, you already know that JC and I are going to give you guys our thoughts because we have actually seen the video in question.
I've seen the video. Thanks to
Pretty
you.
damn cringe.
It's super cringe though, bro.
It's
like
super
it is like,
ooh. It's like, who thought of this?
Who thought this was a good idea? Because there were clearly no one with actual sense that was apart from this project was there. Like
none whatsoever. Like I just look.
Comedians Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears are being sued for allegedly sexually exploiting 2 minors. The plaintiffs were 7 years old and 14 years old at the times of the alleged incidents. The 2 alleged victims are the children of one of Haddish's former friends, according to the lawsuit. The court filing alleges Haddish coached Jane Doe on simulating sexual acts for a comedy skit in 2013. A year later, Haddish and Spears allegedly offered to film the boy for a reel to pitch to Nickelodeon. The lawsuit states the video titled "Through the Eyes of a Pedophile" shows Spears lusting over and allegedly molesting the boy. The lawsuit alleges that there were no parents or guardians present to represent the interests of the children during the incidents. Haddish and Spears have both denied the allegations, calling the claims, quote, bogus and a shakedown.
Girl, we both on mute. Hold on. Retrograde! Shadow Week! Shadow Week! Shadow Week! Shadow Week! Shadow Week! It ain't never cut off this many times. It ain't never did that.
Especially this soon.
Thank you! Shadow Week!
It's usually like 30 minutes later.
Thank you! Shadow Week. Dear God, we not even in retrograde yet. We not. That's the crazy part. God. Oh my goodness.
Really
anyway.
not. Haddish officially has spoken out on this whole scandal. She said, I know people have a bunch of questions. I get it. I'm right there with you. Unfortunately, because there is an ongoing legal case, there's very little that I can say right now. But clearly, while this sketch was intended to be comedic, it wasn't funny at all. And I deeply regret having agreed to act in it. I really look forward to being able to share a lot more about this situation as soon as I can. Then we have one more thing I wanted to share because this was interesting. Hollywood Unlocked recently just shared that Tiffany Haddish is relieved after Aries Spears' skit video surfaces. I wanted to take responsibility and I was tired of being extorted. This circle is apparently Jane Doe and John Doe's mother partying at Tiffany Haddish's birthday party in 2020. So, of course, they're calling this a shakedown. The plaintiff's mother.
Plot thickens. Oh, wow.
I don't even know how to say her name, so let me not even try it. Has been trying to assert these bogus claims against Miss Haddish for several years. Every attorney who has initially taken her case, and there were several, ultimately dropped the matter once it became clear that the claims were meritless and Miss Haddish would not be shaken down. Now Miss Morris has her adult daughter representing herself in this lawsuit. The two of them will together face the consequences of pursuing this frivolous action. If that ain't creepy, I don't know what. So creepy.
We talked about how I remember you were saying that the mom possibly has mental health issues, and I was like, yeah. And or I'm not, and to use Whitney Houston's word, I'm not going to say that she was crackhead. I'm gonna say she's a little crackish, but you know what I'm saying, like that. It doesn't, like, when you find out like what actually happened, like you left your kids with these people, you left your kids with adults, and you were literally the mother in this skit. Like it was art imitating life.
Damn.
And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the way it's like, I'm like, wow. So it's just like, it's kind of,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You were literally the mom in the skit. Like you literally are the person that Tiffany Haddish is playing. It would be a trip if Tiffany Haddish was actually playing the mom. Like if the mom was actually like an inspiration for her role. You understand what I'm saying? It just like, I'm like,
shriveled.
I'm not shriveled.
I am shriveled.
Your use of the English language confounds. I love it. Chef's kiss. But like that's but like no, I don't continue. Continue. Go.
So if you haven't actually seen the video that I would say is in question, but we've seen the damn video, child. With the fact that the mother has some mental issues, the little boy was 7. And if you haven't seen the video, in a nutshell, like JC said, the mom literally drops the kid off with an uncle. I think his name was Uncle Pete of all names. And she's like, hey, Uncle Pete, can you watch my son? He's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. And in the first scene, the little boy is sitting on the ground. He's only in his tidy whities. He doesn't even have socks on, okay? And he's playing with his toy very suggestively. He's spreading his legs.
The cutout in the newspaper as like, it's
Uncle
so
Pete
bad.
is watching him through a freaking newspaper with the eyes cut out. Then it goes over the little boy's, buttocks, if you will, and it looks like, but it's a lot. And then there's a bath scene where, little boy is taking a bath. Then, little boy puts his foot up and he starts like, it's almost as if he's watering a plant.
Yeah, like no, Aries Spears takes the little watering can and starts
literally
watering, and the little boy is like shaking his hair, like
like a Pantene commercial.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I'm so happy that they had the foresight, whoever was working on that, like with Aries, like they had the foresight not to have that grown man take off his clothes and then get in the bathtub. Like Aries Spears just jumped
He had
in
socks
the
on.
bathtub, right? With foot, he
Jeans,
does jump in
socks, and a
fully
shirt.
clothed. I'm like, thank the Lord, or else I don't know if you could have saved this. Like, well, there's no saving it, but it's just like
No, because the problem comes towards the end where it's like after this is now the third time that Uncle Pete has now watched this little 7-year-old boy.
Right.
The 7-year-old boy is now groomed, if you will.
Right. And he's romanticizing Aries, like, and that's
he has his little comic book.
Yeah, he has reading a comic book, and then another comic book drops, and the cutout of the eyes, like how the uncle is, that happens with the little boy, and then he starts spraying baby oil on, like it's the cutout.
And mind you, the uncle is in his underwear.
He's in his underwear now, and then like he's spraying baby oil, or like the kid is
like
spraying
rubbing
baby
it
oil,
all over him.
And I was just like, oh, this is. So I'm not even going front. I laughed a couple times, but it was one of those laughs where it was like, I can't believe
it was like an awkward laugh.
I can't believe y'all did this. I can't believe y'all did this on Beyonce's internet. This is what you thought was appropriate. On Michelle Obama's internet, on Barack Obama, on Lindsay Lohan's. Actually, that makes sense. I take it back. But on the other three's internet, I can't believe that you guys did that. Like, that's just, oh God.
I'm just wondering why they thought this was a good idea. This was not early 90s. This was not late 80s.
Which would make none of this okay still. I'm just going to say that.
It's not going to make it okay.
We're not advocating for child grooming in the 90s and 80s. We're not doing that.
I say that because I remember back then there were a lot of... Back then, nobody said anything because it was lightweight normal for older men to date younger women, and that's why it's taken until now for R. Kelly to end up going to jail and things of that nature. And
apparently, older men to date younger boys. If we look at the case of like the alleged cases against Africa Bambaataa and all of the things that he did, and I was shocked. I said, "My African American Jesus, what in the world is this?" Like.
People used to be like, don't go over there. Do not go over there. When I was doing that research, I was like, that is wild.
That is wild. It is wild. It is wild. It is wild. But I think I see what they were trying to do. Like, I honestly do see what they were trying to do. I see the message in it. The message is delivered plainly and clearly. I just think exactly, like literally, it says it at the end of the literally. But I think that, Jesus Lord, why? Like, you could have done it several different ways that weren't as cringe. I think we both agree, me and you, that we both agree that didn't nobody do nothing to them kids.
No.
Outside of the obvious trauma of that skit, but like I don't think anything extra was done, which the skit in of itself is enough. Like, dear God, you were telling me about how the little boy puts tape over cameras now, and like, he
doesn't like to take photos, and he's 15 now, so he's been traumatized about this for all these years apparently. Mom aside, it's like we can blame the mom all we want to, but if this little boy indeed is still traumatized at the age of 15 to where he really is putting tape over his cameras, he doesn't really want to take pictures because he doesn't really know what people is going to do with them. I would hate, and I couldn't even imagine what it feels like for him to go to school these days, if he's even going to school. Because I'm pretty sure that people saw it's not that hard to find it. You know what I mean? Like, especially when it first came out, it was on YouTube. Like, somebody put it back up on YouTube, and YouTube recently pulled it back down. But, I think for me, although I know for a fact that they, at least I wasn't freaking there, so I don't.
We believe,
but I believe that they did not personally touch these kids, because the older sister says that she had her basically sexually acting like she was giving fellatio to a freaking hot dog.
Bit on the nose, but okay. Just come on, y'all. Come on.
My whole tingling is it's the fact that you had to teach them to do this.
Exactly.
And I think that is where the real problem comes in, to where it's like, you know, you think of a little girl that's fast, or you think of a little boy that's like doing too much when he's like around other little girls, and you're just like, well, who taught you that? You know what I mean? And like, I mean, yeah, maybe it's possible that the little boy was playing with his trucks like that before,
right?
But I honestly highly doubt it. You know what I mean?
I doubt that.
I highly doubt he was throwing his legs in the air like that. Like, I don't think that he necessarily would have done that before. And then when you put a little 7-year-old in a situation like this, you don't know how you're jacking him up mentally coming down the years. Because although, you know, adult wise, you see it as, oh, you know, it's acting.
It's funny. Haha. Yeah.
At 7 years old, you sit around imagining things all damn day. So like, do you really know the difference between acting and what to not internalize? Like, if this little boy really is indeed still traumatized, and the fact that the mom or the sister or whoever, because obviously the mom isn't necessarily all the way there, so I really can't take too much of what she's done. I really wonder what parts in this that Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish actually had. Because it's like, did they write the skits? I mean, obviously, Tiffany Haddish brought the girl there because what some people don't realize is that she apparently met the girl when she was at like a comedy camp or something like that. And then that was how she ended up meeting with the family and getting to know the family and being cool with them and checking on them. But did she write the skit? Because she's like, oh, I wish I didn't agree to it. And so I'm like, well, how much of this did you know about to where you still agreed to it? And I remember there was a point when Tiffany Haddish was living out of her car. So it makes me wonder if she was just desperate enough for that check to, not saying it's okay. But I'm trying to get some logic as to why you would ever think something like this was okay to film, let alone release.
And so this is the part, I think, and there's been some like what I want to say, there's been some like confusion, I think, just to make it clear what exactly grooming is. That is grooming, right? When you teach someone to, you know, essentially like fillet a hot dog, you know, that is grooming. When you teach a child how to like put up their legs and, you know, do innuendous things with the fire truck or the train or whatever, like that's grooming, right? So that would be, you know, even if this is in jest, even if this is acting, if you will, even if this is, you know what I'm saying? Like if you told their mom that they're doing this for Nickelodeon, this is on no one on Nickelodeon. This is not Nickelodeon's idea. I watched it as a child. We both did.
And like, I know Nickelodeon had some weird things, but their weird stuff was like, it was kind of like you had to, like now we're realizing that was kind of strange. Like it, but you know, if I would have seen that back then, I would have known that it was strange. Like that's weird.
Yeah.
And we did forget to mention that the whole original plan allegedly is that she was dropping the kids off to do commercials for Nickelodeon.
And so therein lies another problem. Like y'all just went about this all wrong. So, and then didn't you say that Aries is out here making videos talking about some "you won't break my soul"? Like, sir, this is not the hill that you want to die on. This is the hill that you climb carefully and slowly down. You check your surroundings at the bottom and you never go up it.
Let me see if I can find that.
Like that's just like you just, sir. Why? This is not the hill that you like. I don't know. Child grooming post R. Kelly times is not what you post Epstein, post Weinstein, post all the Steens and R. Kelly. This is not the hill that you want to die on. Is this it?
Oh, he's blinking.
The millennial pause. He's not a millennial though, so I don't know what it's called.
And he's doing this silently. Like there's no audio in the background. And then what's even crazier is when you read it, it says, please go to the YouTube page and subscribe to my new podcast, Sophisticated Sound Reels with comedian. I can't read that from here. My eyes are super jacked up.
So let me just also speak on this. DM me for the link to the spirits. Okay. So let me also say this because we talked about this off air. Um, as a queer man, right? I don't the whole Renaissance album is an album for the gays. It's for that community specifically. And so for you to take this and then do that when this video is about like this is so much like you don't have to do this. Like it
I didn't
just
even think about that.
exact as I again as a gay, like I don't like that. You picked the worst actual track to try to be like, oh, you won't break my no, bro. Like that's already a horrible stereotype. Like what are you doing? Who is your publicist?
Does he even have a publicist?
Clearly no one. Like this is not
because my whole thing is I feel like your publicist would have been had
would have muzzled you and threw you in the back of the trunk.
Yeah, because Tiffany Haddish hasn't really said anything.
As you
know, she did her one
apology.
thing, and that was it. And some people really weren't feeling that apology either, because it almost kind of comes off as she's trying to distance herself from it. And I mean, I would too, but you were there. You were part of it. Like
you were an integral part of this.
You picked the damn kids.
You did.
First, you tried to groom the little girl to the point where she said she felt so damn crazy and she just knew that she didn't even do a good job. Right. Then a year later, you circle on back around to get the 7-year-old boy. So it's like, are you trying to tell me that you didn't know the whole point of Uncle Pete in this skit? You're the one that taught the little girl how to fellatio of a hot dog. And then I tried to watch Girls Trip with some friends and we all fell asleep, but we also all were drinking sangria and wine. So, apparently there's a part in there where she talks about like grapefruiting.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but apparently she's known for doing, sexual things with food.
Oh.
So it's like you taught this little girl at 14 years old how to do sexual things with food that she probably wasn't even thinking about before. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in that little girl's household. I don't know what the heck she watches. But
hopefully she wasn't.
Hopefully. But it kind of goes back to like the whole R. Kelly case where it's like the girl that he ended up, wedding on. People were like, oh, well, she didn't look like a little girl. She seems all grown. I did not see the R. Kelly tape, but that's what people are saying. Mm-hmm. And when she recently took the stand, because I want to say she's like 35 now, she was like, well, he taught me how to do it.
Right.
So now you've taught these kids how to do this when they were supposed to be doing a Nickelodeon commercial. And then a 7-year-old, he's not going to know anything. You know what I mean? He's just going to do what he's being told. And then as soon as she sits him down, she says, do what Uncle Pete tells you to do. Right. And then leaves the room.
Right.
We don't know if she actually stays in there. We don't know if she sits back and she's actually like, we don't know.
Right. And it's just first of all, 13th of all, didn't we just talk about this last week? Didn't we literally just talk about this last week? I'm tired of this. I feel like Phoebe right now, Phoebe Hollowell. I'm just like, Lord, just, you know what I'm saying? But then also it's like, it goes back to what I made a video about this and I was like, stop making kids be nice to adults when they don't want to. It's like, because I don't know if you've ever met children, but they're very loving creatures and they have a tendency to gravitate on their own time towards people, places, things. And so, forcing a child to quote unquote hug Aunt whatever or sit on Uncle John's lap, you know what I'm saying? Like when they don't want to. Like I remember one time I was at a function and it was with a friend. I ain't gonna say too much and get into too much into detail, but like there was a little girl there and it was my friend's like niece or something, and like she was like vehemently opposed to hugging a family friend, and they were like, oh, don't be like that, hug, blah 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 blah. And it was just kind of like one of those things where I'm watching it and I'm getting uncomfortable because it's like she does not want to go to this person, right? And I'm not, in my mind, I'm not entirely sure what this reaction is about. I don't want to think the worst of anybody involved, but I'm like, that reaction warrants investigation. Like, why are you so vehemently opposed? Why is a child so vehemently opposed to a family friend? Right. And that just goes back to, taking away kids' agency over their bodies when they're younger. Kids don't have much say so over much, right? So it's like, the few things that they do have control over, their bodies and hopefully what they eat. That's about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so if you grew up in a black household, you're gonna eat what's put on the table. So throw that out.
You just ain't gonna eat.
You just ain't gonna eat. So just throw that out the window.
Oh, you want water for dinner?
Exactly. That's good. You better not pee the bed. And so like that part. But so you're taking away that. And then it's like, it's just like I said, I was bothered. I left. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go now because I don't really like, what I'm saying, because it's a weird position to be in. Like, you don't want to say anything, but then you're also like, oh, this is. Should I say?
Like, y'all don't see this?
Y'all don't see this? Don't nobody think this is a problem? But my black behind. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave because
this is awkward.
Because
at that point, you're just gonna sit there and watch the little girl for the rest of the night.
Yeah. And I don't want to be, like, I'm the outsider here. Like, I know my friend, but I don't know the family. So it's like, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm also like, okay, this is weird, and be careful who you leave your kids around. To circle back, but like, bring it full circle. I'm just saying. But yes, don't stop making kids be nice to adults when they don't want to. All right, stop.
So, now just in like recent times, I want to say over the last couple days, the mom is asking for them to be arrested now. Do you think that they should be arrested? Do you think that there should be a little more research into who should be arrested or not? Here it is. I wanted to find that one. Let me share that. So yeah. Do you think they should go to jail? Or do you think they should pay a fine? Because my whole thing is, if they were solely just actors and an actor and an actress, and they actually had nothing to do with the script. They were just doing their job.
Right.
I'm still gonna look at you a little sideways because you took the job.
Right.
And like I said, Tiffany Haddish was living in the car back then, so who knows how desperate that she was. Not saying it was okay, but I just sometimes wonder what was going through your cranium back then for you to actually take a role like this and be a part of something like this. Even if you weren't the Uncle Pete, you were still a part of this situation, especially with the little girl.
Right.
But I wonder really who wrote this. And, because apparently it was on Aries Spears' website and his YouTube channel. Okay. And so it's like, did you write this skit? Or did somebody else write the skit? Or was this written in conjunction with the mama? Like who sat down and wrote this? Yeah.
What is the what? I don't think they should go to jail. I mean, let's do some investigation, right? Like, because I mean, I in my heart of hearts, I don't believe either of these two individuals actually, like physically abuse these children. Grooming, that's debatable. That is whatever you got on that, you kind of let that ride. But I don't know if I would call for them to be like arrested. I don't know if I agree with that. Because I do, as I said to you earlier, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And they were just on Highway 666 moseying right down along. And so in that way, I understand the purpose behind it. I understand, I understand what you're trying to do. Pay that lady.
Just pay her. You jacked up her kids.
Right. Pay that lady her money. Like, listen, pay that lady her money, mea culpa it, and make it go. Pay that lady her Pay that lady her money, okay?
And apparently, they were only originally asking for $15,000 to send the kids to therapy. That's what they saying.
Pay that lady her money. Pay her money. You broke her kids. Pay the money so she can fix them. Like, what is wrong with people? I don't get, like, no. Pay that lady her money. Give her whatever she want. What she want? 450, 500. Pay it. Pay it.
Especially if that little boy is really still is jacked up the way
Right.
that he is. Like, you owe them. Everybody that was a part of that project owes them some money.
That is a fine. Pay the fine. All right, pay the fine. Like, that's not even like, that's chump change. Like, pay that lady her money. Pay them kids to college tuition. Do something, because I like I said, understand the thought process behind it, but this execution was piss poor. And then you got the whole thing that you body shaming with Lizzo. You calling Lizzo fat, and you out here looking like, you know, an abused, punched panda bear. Like, nah, fam. Like, this is not what you want. Like, those in glass houses should not throw stones. And you, my friend, are in a champagne glass. You need to stop it. Like, it's not okay.
Threw a whole damn boulder. Miley Cyrus wrecking ball style.
I came in like a wrecking ball.
Busted the whole wall down. I was like, when that video of him came out, I don't know why, but off the top of my head, I just knew something's gonna come out. You don't get to go in on someone like Lizzo, especially after a top moment like she just recently had at the VMAs. And then I know for a fact that interview clip that ended up dropping with him saying that about Lizzo, that had been probably done, I don't know how long ago. But they waited. You know how interview was made.
Yeah, it's the perfect storm. Like, oh, you still got that video of him talking bad about Lizzo? Drop that thing.
Drop that right now.
Like,
and boom, it took off. And then like 3 days later, this hit the internet.
Also, okay, somebody shout out to my boy DeAndre. He sent me this video. So 3 weeks before this, you know, Tiffany Haddish had actually went on some show and was promoting like this black owned business banking kind of like rivaling Google app. So people are like, you know, this is a play that they have done time and time again. Whenever black celebrities try to do things that disrupt things, there's always like something that magically, you know, that guy the guy that did Birth of a Nation, you know, before that movie dropped, there was several, you know, rape allegations or whatever that came out against him, sexual abuses or whatever. You know, Tiffany Haddish, it's called the Bizio, like TheBizio.com. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was promoting this platform, and all of these things drop. So people are noticing the pattern of this. And it's just like, and you know, not to belittle abuse of any kind, violence of any kind, not to belittle that, but it's just interesting how she talks about, you know, she's creating an app to rival Google, and 3 weeks later, the literal poop hits the fan, like just. And so, like, I don't think that's by coincidence at all. I really wish she wasn't in it. I really wish it was just Aries, because no one likes him anyway. But unfortunately, you know, and she looks really good. She got the, you know, the finger waves with the blonde hair. Girl, she looked gorgeous. I just really hate that this happened. So I do want to say that, like, she was supposed to have an app coming out, black business, black banking, all the things.
Well, I would say that took a dark turn, but it was already dark to begin with.
It was already dark to begin with.
So
this is the part where we take a break.
Yeah. This next subject isn't much better, but it'll be interesting still. So
better.
When we come back, I'm gonna actually let JC take this one over. Yeah, we're gonna talk about black leaders versus actual black leaders, or should I say black leaders versus leading the black?
Yes, leading the blacks. Yes.
Be right back to Rewind with Besa. I'm so done with you.
Hey y'all, my name is Nicole Harvey and I proudly serve as the Director of Community and Family Engagement at Seattle Jazz Ed, and I'm here to let y'all know that we're getting to launch our fall programming the first week of October. So if you're a student or you know a student between the grades 4 through 12 that is interested in playing music, whether they're a beginner or they've been playing for a long time, we have saved a seat for you. For more information, please visit our website at www.seattlejazzed.org. All of our programs and classes are offered on a sliding scale tuition policy, which means that families get to choose what they pay, no questions asked. We also have free loaner instruments available for every student to use. If you have questions, you're welcome to contact us via email or by phone at programs@seattlejazzed.org or 206-324-5299.
Welcome back to Rewind with Besa. I'm Besa Gordon, and you already know we got my buddy JC up in here because it is Wednesday. So JC, you sent me a video. Tell us a little bit about this video before we play it.
I don't know who this elder's name is. This young lady, she goes off. And I saw it, and I like immediately was like, I'm gonna send this to Besa, because she basically just told the truth and nothing but the truth as far as like, you know, corporate plants in the Black community, and just, you know, like I said, Black leaders versus, you know, people that just happen to lead Blacks, right? You know, and electing quote unquote Black leaders, and what that looks like and how it actually doesn't work. And so we just wrote a clip. Like, she say it better than I ever could. Like, man, Ashe.
The last 2 seconds of the video for me. Check this out, y'all.
Right.
We do not have to have Black leaders anymore, because everyone in this room is empowered to be a Black leader. Because see, right now, these people that you're calling Black leaders are not what they used to be with Marcus Garvey's day. Those were the people that got us together and planted a strategy, and we're not looking for fame. But today's Black leaders, I'm afraid, have become leading Blacks. And don't ever confuse leading Blacks with Black leaders. Let me tell you why you don't do that. One of the reasons you don't confuse them, Black leaders are chosen by you. They're chosen by the people they're going to lead. They're chosen by us. But let me tell you about the leading Blacks. The leading Blacks are chosen by the media. Leading Blacks are chosen by ABC, all broadcasting Caucasians. Leading Blacks are also chosen by NBC, nothing broadcasting but Caucasians. And the rest are chosen by CBS, the Caucasian broadcasting system. And when you allow leaders to be chosen by the media that's owned by the corporations, when you get ready to change your lives, carefully watch and see what the leading Blacks are doing, because that's when the leading Blacks sneak into the door to the corporations, and they will tell the corporations, oh, we know how to go and put them down. We know how to get you some real affirmative action Negroes to come in here and work. We know how to do that. But at the end of the day, the leading Blacks lead the corporations, and the leading Blacks have gotten paid while we have gotten played.
It was the sit back for me. It was like I'm done. Like it was like when I saw that.
What I said.
I was like, Miss Hair, Miss Julia Hair. Like I might have to switch out my rising from Quincy Jones, the Miss Julia Hair. Like that's, if y'all don't know, I like to do celebrity zodiac. So I say I'm a James Baldwin son with a Malcolm X moon and a Quincy Jones rising. Might have to switch that out Julia hair rising, because that's me. That is actually me. Don't get me drunk. That is actually me. Don't let me get the drinking. Like, yes, but Miss Julie.
When do you think that this switch happened? When it got to the point to where, and maybe it was always like this. You know, when you think about like the Marcus Garveys and how like we all gravitated towards them, when do you feel like there was a switch from actual Black leaders that we came together and was like, yes, I want to follow him, to where corporate America started being like, I know I can make some coin off of this. Hold up. Let me make a phone call.
I feel like it was somewhere in between the death of Martin and Malcolm. Because we have Malcolm's death and the confusion around that. And, you know, was it the nation? Was it the FBI? Was it NYPD? Was it all three? Like, you know what I'm saying? So you have that, and you could spin confusion and all of the misinformation and misunderstanding and all of the things. And then you have Malcolm's death. And most people don't know that Malcolm was assassinated after he gave the church's burning speech in like 1963 or 65, after he like publicly was like, you know, after he was trying to start this coalition that pretty much united all poor people, the same thing that they killed Fred Hampton for. You know, he gave this speech. He talked about how integrating Black people into American society was a bad idea. It was like putting his people in a burning house. And then, you know, shortly after that, he was assassinated. And so I think, like I said, somewhere in between Malcolm, Martin, and the crack epidemic, they figured it out, and just kind of rolled right on. You know what I'm saying? Because the one thing I can say, historically speaking, a lot of people, well, some people may know and remember me from, you know, this, but I was there from pretty much the entirety of the CHOP occupation, right? And so I got to see how organizations function, right? And how you have people that actually want to do the work and people that just want the notoriety, right? Mm-hmm. And so I got to kind of see that power play, and I'm like, you know, being in that space kind of made me understand how we get to the Nation of Islam going against their brother Malcolm. We get to all of the infighting between, you know, SNCC, and SNCC would be the Southern, I forget the acronym, I'm sorry, but it, you know, all of these different civil rights organizations that were happening around the same time. And I kind of got a chance to actually see it play out before my very eyes. And I'm like, oh, so this is what happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. And yeah, I just feel like it's somewhere in there. They figured it out. They got it. Boom.
You know what's so funny? I totally forgot about those moments in CHOP where we would see, you know, white agents of chaos, but then
you'd see the Black.
Then you started seeing the Black ones, and I remember there was like two people. It was like one girl and like one dude and a couple other people, and they would like randomly pop up, and every single person from Seattle was like, "Who is that?
Who are they?" Yep.
And who and how are you? We don't even know you guys.
Nope.
We've never seen you.
Nope.
You're not from this area. How are you speaking for us? And then one day I was watching the news, and I was also watching, I think I was watching Omari's live stream, to be honest. Like, that's how I actually found out about Converge during CHOP, because I was on air and I was doing nights on Cube at that time. So being that I lived downtown on South Lake Union, sometimes I would hear the marchers outside, and so I would update my breaks and be like, you guys, they're on South Lake Union. I think they're on their way up Denny and heading back up to Capitol Hill, just letting people know what's going on and how to stay out the way.
Right.
But I remember watching the stream that day that they came up to the barricade, and then everybody was like, who are you guys? Why are you here? We don't trust you, because people kept seeing them on the news. They're having meetings with the mayor, and nobody just understood it. And then they disappeared. And so I think I was watching Cairo 7 or Como News, and everybody was trying to figure out where they went. I was like, I figured out where they went. They went through the barricade, and they're walking directly to the news. Literally, the cops let them through the barricade. They went through. They ended up talking to Como or Cairo, and they were like talking about how scared that they were or something like that. And that was another moment where we were like, who
are
sent
you? And
not
it's
even
like,
who sent you here? Because this doesn't even make any sense. First of all, nobody really bothered you. They were really just trying to figure out who the heck you were, why you keep popping up, and why nobody can pinpoint
out who you are,
what school you went to, or anything of that nature. And for you to get let through that barricade and be able to go back there and go directly to where the news was, all the way up by the freaking precinct, and do a little interview trying to turn on your tears. I was like, oh, that's what that looks like.
And it's so like I don't know if you guys might have heard me typing. I was trying to figure I was trying to remember his name, but so like during the civil rights era, there was this famous photographer called Ernest Withers, right? And so he was at every single march. He was at every single all the things, right? He was the guy taking the pictures, and he will simultaneously an informant for the FBI. So he was letting the FBI know all of the whereabouts for all of the meetings and everything, because he had a front row seat, right? He was the videographer, he was the historian, he was the person that was supposed to be capturing everything. And so he was taking this information and he was feeding it back to the FBI so they could sow discord inside of all of the Black Power movements, right? And so it literally, when I saw this video, I had Trump. Let me tell you something. I was never personally tear gassed, although I was in the vicinity when tear gas was happening. However, I was in the vicinity when flashbangs were happening. I was in the vicinity when, people were getting shot and stabbed and everything. Like, I got crazy footage that hasn't seen the light of day yet. We can work.
Now that part I was not there for.
Oh,
those flashbangs would start, and there's literally a video of me like running through downtown.
Omari,
it was getting crazy.
Omari with the Emmy, we got to work. I was there. So like, shout out to Converge, but like, yeah, like, and that trauma is real. Like, it was shortly 4th of July, fireworks went off, and like and I have never ducked at a firework before. I am from South and Northeast DC. I know what a gun sounds like, right? In the 90s, I know what a gun sounds like. But I was literally shocked and traumatized. So I'm just like, it brought me back. Seeing this video brought me back, because it's like, me being the journalist that I am, I did the work to I didn't ever speak for anyone. I literally just recorded things. And there were sometimes in some moments where I wanted to intervene and I decided not to, because it's like, hey, I'm here to watch. I'm not here to be a part of this. I'm here to actually just kind of tell the story, right? Tell a true, honest depiction of the story. And, barring a few times where I actually did speak up, one of those videos is actually online. Andre, whatever his name is, when he was out here spreading lies, and I was like, nope, hit a camera foot, talk into the camera, talk right here, because you didn't say that like 30 seconds ago. Outside of that,
wait a minute,
like that. I think his name is Andre Watts or Andre something. Like, that video did numbers on my YouTube. But outside of that, I was really there to just actually document the story. And so, like I said, it just actually seeing how these things play out, actually seeing the plants, the informants, the power grabs, right? Just, it is wild to understand. And so, to answer your question, sometime in between the death of Martin and Malcolm is when they figured it out. And yes, that's my answer.
And they've just been trying to perfect it since then.
Ever since then. And that's just like, man, but Malcolm, Martin, Ernest, that whole.
And I feel like that's when, African Americans really have to learn how to get into their discernment a little bit more. Because there were some people that were believing those people that were on there, and they're just like, oh my God, they're savages. And I'm like, they're lying.
They be lying. I have the footage to prove it.
I'm like, you didn't see how she just, you don't understand. You know what I mean? And it's like, all like, just assuming that every single thing that you see on the news is fact.
The truth. And that's not
like, And there can be so many things that just get fabricated or cut out and clipped and snipped and, you know, flipped around, or say this like this. You know what I mean? Like, you can literally evoke so many different emotions depending on what you say, and also what clip is played over when someone is saying something. And the order that it happens in. Because it's just one of those things where it's like
editing.
Major editing. Because if I'm not mistaken, when the video of her at the barricade, when I seen it on a live stream, and then I seen her on the news. So it's like, unless you were watching the live stream, you don't really know what was happening.
Right.
And if you didn't watch the news, you don't know where she went.
Right.
And you just literally had to, I would have multiple screens open just so I could see different angles. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't get the full story. I remember there was a woman that was in her apartment, and then the police started like putting lasers on her. Mind you, I think she was at the Seattle Times office. Oh no, she was at the Stranger in her office looking out the window. And then they saw her looking out the window, and they started like putting
lasers at her. And there was some crazy stuff going on with the police. Like that time, like I said, I really want to put together a documentary, like an actual, like I was working on something, life happened, pandemic happened, like a lot of things have happened. But I really want to get back to it, because that is a story that the world needs to know. And for those of us that lived it, that breathed it, that were actually like in the fire, like that is something that, you know, that I will never forget that time. Like I will never forget that. Like I was literally a part of history. Like I would never forget that time. It was wild.
So, because we're talking about appointed leaders, what do you think about Shaun King?
You mean Malcolm X?
Especially with the rumor that he's not even Black. Because I've done my Googles.
As have I. I think
I love when I hit you with a curveball.
Because it's just like, ooh.
You really start going through, you be like,
How do I feel about Talcum X? You know, I'll see your Talcum X and I'll raise you transracial, what's her name? Karen turned Keisha. The one that was like, oh God, transracial. What is her name? What is her? Okay, hold on. Transracial lady.
Rachel Dolezal?
Rachel Dolezal, yes. I'll see you with her. I'll see you with Talcum X, and I'll raise you a Rachel Dolezal. And I say that because while she is blackfishing, I truly feel like when I look at this lady's track record, I'm like, damn. Can we trade Candace Owens? I will. Candace Owens, polyester and Velcro. What was their names? Sylvester and Silk or whatever. Polyester and Velcro. Toyota 7500 and who else is a black or ambiguous? Stacey Dash. I'll trade all of them for Rachel Dolezal.
Did you see her popping up talking about how she didn't know that DMX died a year ago?
I will trade all of them for Rachel Dolezal. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will trade all of them. You can have all of them for Rachel Dolezal. Because if so yeah, that's I'll ask you that. Because I have complex emotions on Rachel. I have complex emotions around D. Ray McKesson. Honestly, see this thing called capitalism. It corrupts capitally, and that's just all I gotta say. I just no human is ever one thing. You know what I'm saying? A great man is great for multiple reasons, and great in and of itself, it has no polarity. Great is just a word. It means a lot, immense, a bunch, an abundance. You know what I'm saying? So you can be abundantly horrible, you can be abundantly good, or you could just be abundantly in the middle. But like, yeah, Taco Max. That's a great question, because somebody asked me that before, and I was like, I don't know. I need to meet him before I give, because he does do that thing where I feel like I don't know what to call it when you like when you post things online and it's like, I am enraged at the
that was the first thing that came to my mind when you said he does these things where he's like, I'm so angry.
I'm like, bro, I don't know black people talk like that.
And I'm like, did you really type that?
But on the other hand, it's like Candace Owens. And she's actually black, like undisputably. And so like I'm like, in the words of Amanda Seales, when she talks about certain things, Amanda said, the reason that I don't base my career in black anger and pain is because I never want to be out of a job if we overcome. And so, yeah.
Okay, what about Black Lives Matter?
BLM?
Yes. I think
it was a good thing when it started. I think much like everything, capitalism corrupts capitally. And that is that on that. I think and on sometimes I think we do this thing where it's like we expect our leaders to be martyrs. Like we don't want them to feed or clothe themselves. We don't want, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, these are people doing the work. Social work is work. Social justice work is extremely traumatizing. You're putting your body and your soul and your mentality, you're constantly going to war every single day. I'm not going to chastise anybody for receiving donations and buying themselves something. That is work. And that is something, again, that I learned having been in the trenches at CHOP. I was traumatized. People, I shrieked and recoiled when I heard fireworks. That has never happened to me in my life. And that's what I'm saying. And like people that have never been in a situation where that those type of things are happening. You've never been to a protest. You've never had police react violently toward you, or been in a situation where the police come at you, you know, and try you like you crazy. Like you don't understand that. And so like you couldn't, you know what I'm saying? Whoever, if Black Lives Matter get a $10 million donation, not now. Now I ain't saying that. But back then, you know what I'm saying? If Black Lives Matter got a $10 million donation, and the founders of that split $1 million to go go do for themselves, like this is like social justice work. Don't nobody get paid for that. And if you do get paid, it's not enough for what you do this out of the love because you're trying to overcome. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not. So Black Lives Matter, original OG BLM, yes. BLM, neo BLM, not so much.
Yeah, I guess when it comes all the way back around, do you think that we ever will have a leader like a Malcolm X, like, you know, a Martin Luther King that can really rally us together? Or do you think that we might already have one?
The perpetual optimist in me says yes. The realist says no. And so that's not, and if it is, it's not going to be from here, because this place is going to hell in an Instacart order. But maybe from another part of the world, I think. But I don't know if I have also complex feelings around that. And just who I think it may be.
You know, I just ordered Instacart today, so you know I'm like,
America's going to hell, and
not even Amazon Prime.
Yeah, 2-day shipping. But like, that's America. But I don't know if I like I said, the optimist in me says yes. The realist in me says hell no.
Well, like I said, this wasn't going to be much brighter.
It's the sipping of the soda can for me with the green.
You were warned. We're going to go to our last commercial break. Oh.
I'm past patiently waiting, I'm passionately smashing every expectation, every action's an act of creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties and sorrow. For the first time I'm thinking past tomorrow. And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just a country, I'm not snappy and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. We're gonna rise up, it's time to take a shot. We're gonna rise up, it's time to take a shot. We're gonna rise up, rise up. It's time to take a shot. Rise up, take a shot. Rise up, it's time to take a shot. Rise up, take a shot, shot. Hey, it's time to take a shot, time to take a shot. And I am not throwing away my shot.
Now, just so you guys know, Hamilton actually stops playing at the Paramount on September 11th, ironically. So you guys have a little bit more time to actually check it out if you haven't already checked it out. Otherwise, I want to thank JC for staying up so damn late with me. I did not realize it was that time over that show. Well, I've been sipping my little energy drink. Of course, JC will be back once again on Friday. So until then, once again, JC, make sure that everybody knows where they can find you at on social media until you come back on Friday.
So everybody, check me out at the OVT Network. It's Lord. Try that again. All right, so everybody, Mercury shadow retrograde is in effect. Oh my God, I hope y'all ready. Because if this is this episode, the pre to this episode, if this is anything, if this is the foreshadowing for this rendition of retrograde by Mercury, we are in for a hellified time. But y'all check me out right there at this on the screen. And yeah, all social medias. That's where I be.
All right. And you guys already know you can keep up with me, everyone on social media at Besa Gordon. So until I come back tomorrow, you already know what to do. Keep that energy high and make sure you follow JC at the OVT Network.
I'm trying to get the fingers right. The mirror week is weird.
Lord.
It's just Mercury retrograde. Okay.